it?
Yeah, we're in a good line. Just start it whenever.
Yeah, it's already started, sucker.
Oh, hey.
You saying started is when it was already started.
Perfect. Hello, everyone, and
No.
welcome to Dead End Radio Podcast.
The pod. I love that name.
I always get choked up at the end of the time. I think it's wait, radio, don't
The
podcast.
podcast. Now on YouTube. Some kid on YouTube said like he was astounded by my dumbness. Like he asked like why is it like a video like of where people could be talking but it's just a picture instead of us talking. I'm like I'm too stupid to figure out how to upload a video. And he just said wow.
It's a
So
work in progress.
I mean, I guess I can't disagree with him. Like, I'm astounded by my stupidity on this because I see 13-year-olds, like, and 12-year-olds who seem to have channels, so they figure it out. They're probably well edited too, and all this sort of nonsense that I can't do at all. I'm
Hey,
just at the point where it's a picture and audio. That's the limit of my
as
knowledge.
long as you're progressing, that's all that matters. It's okay. It doesn't matter where you start. It's all about where you're going.
That's
So,
Thank you. I need a little positivity about that.
uh,
I
and in
would-
all honesty, as far as like YouTube comments goes, that's not bad. You're gonna get a lot worse ones.
Yeah.
YouTube has the YouTube comments could be quite vicious.
No, I agreed with everything he said. I was in total agreement with his wow. It's like, yep, that's the way. Yeah, but I'm getting up there.
Yeah, man.
I'm not washed up yet, but getting close. Um, I only put us on quickly because we're talking about songs that put you in the mood.
In the mood.
That just make you
Uh,
kind of want to dance around.
You
Feels
just want to dance around, and it's funny that the song that triggered that was I don't know if I'm gonna just play it first. 1 second.
let it go.
Anymore, we're gonna get copyright.
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh. No, I don't think there's an algorithm that scans podcasts. As long as like it's like small segments, not like the entire song or content for like the entire.
Yeah, I was actually thinking
entire.
about that today because I remember there was a podcast I used to listen to that did it like that. Like they would just have small little like clips of like songs, it'd be like
Mhm.
being just 5-10 seconds of some song. If you just do it like that, I think you're fine, right? Is that in the law, or is it like you use any part of our song?
Technically, you can't use any of it. But people get away with it all the time if you just add it in small snippets. I think there's a threshold of like using a certain time limit of it, and then also a percentage of your content can't be that content. It needs to be like original. So you could be like, say it's like a movie review. You could play a segment of the movie, but as long as like 98% of the content of what you created is about you doing something with that content and not the actual content itself of what you're referencing,
Yeah.
that is permitted. As far as I know, I could be wrong. These things are changing all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. At least from the point of view that I see a lot of. When I went down that rabbit hole of like Star Wars hate, there was
Mhm.
like, everyone just has it all cut up. So that makes sense. Like with that, I wasn't sure if it was just a matter of they didn't see them. So like they don't care. They're too small. But some of those videos were, at least like 100,000. You'd figure that's big enough.
Yeah, it's
Um,
interesting.
You know what song?
What?
Speaking of songs that they get me going.
Which
uh,
ones? I hear the song of the cicadas behind you right now. Or is that by me?
I think that's you.
Oh, I'm
I
just going
think
to close the window.
that's a cicada coming to to
Yep,
get you
that was me. My bad.
in a rear naked choke. Yeah,
Okay. Am I getting attacked by cicadas? What's going on here?
yeah. Look behind me. That's sound foam. Hey there, random person on the internet. Wow, that.
How's that?
Yeah, you think I'm stupid?
Nope, sound foam.
Yeah,
Memory foam. It
exactly.
will never forget the atrocities it's seen in this room.
We have memory foam. It knows everything you've done on your bed. And
So what song got in the movie? Sorry to cut you off.
oh no,
Or the
it's all right.
cicadas interrupted me.
It wasn't your fault. You were attacked. You know that song by NSX? I Need You Tonight.
Potentially, I don't know the
It's
names. Like
like
if I hear it, I'll find
it was like wah 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 do 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 do. Wait, put it on for 5-10 seconds. Now that we know that we within a
We've
threshold.
already crossed the threshold by using other people's material, so let's
Yeah,
just continue the bandwagon.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure these guys are dead. They were in the 80s.
What?
They're probably all alive.
They're probably yeah. And if they're not alive, their families are collecting the royalties on that, and
Yeah,
they want that money.
yeah. By the
So what was
way,
it again?
I, in SX, like INSX, need you tonight.
Right on my loud keyboard. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Oh, yeah, I know this one.
Yeah. Mm, mm, uh, uh,
Another classic 80s song.
As I've grown older, I've turned to like the 80s more. Yeah.
Honestly, I feel the same way. I didn't really appreciate it as much as I did when I was younger.
Alright,
But the older I get,
stop before we get killed. Alright. Yeah.
That's the threshold. Cut it off.
Stop. That's a good song, though. I heard
Yeah.
that randomly on the radio. I that's why I still listen to the radio, just so I can still be surprised by stuff. Because,
Every time
if you're only going as far as your iTunes, like, everything that's in there, and like your heart. I mean, like, every once in a while a song comes up, it's like, oh, it's been a while since I listened to it, but it's like I wasn't really into that song, but I heard it on the radio when I was driving around in Miami, and it just like was just like, ooh, what's this? you know.
classy.
I think it's that little like boom, like that little and the little boom, boom.
Yeah. It's a balance. It's a nice catchy bass tune with the catchy like
Yeah.
I don't know upbeat guitar. Is that guitar? Yeah, I guess it's guitar.
Maybe it's something like synthesizer-y.
Add some synth to it. Yeah, that's how you make it 80s. Just add some synth.
Yeah. You know it's an underrated band from the 80s? Or maybe, I don't know where they're rated. Or at least they're underrated to my mind. Tears for Fears.
Not sure.
Everybody Wants to Rule the World. You know that song?
Mm-hmm.
That one, they did, the song from Donnie Darko.
Yeah. That was another good one.
Mad World.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was them. They did the original version, which was better, in my opinion. Yeah, they had a bunch of songs that I didn't realize how many hits they had. That's why because there's a point where a lot of the '80s stuff kind of sounded similar to me. So I was like, I could not distinguish between them and like Boy George
Different
or something.
artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't realize that they were making like a bunch of songs that I kind of liked. I don't know.
For all you know, it could have been like a similar producer that created the songs and they just worked with different bands. You never know.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of those were similar.
That's true. I probably should know the producers more. They're probably more responsible for the music.
No one follows the producers.
Yeah, you have to be a real music head, but that when I was watching that documentary about I don't even remember his name anymore. It was the producer, the one who worked with Dr. Dre. Who was the other guy?
Dr. Seuss?
All right. I can say I don't think music is maybe not your.
It's not my element, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I can't really pull references as easily as but when it comes to other useless content like movies.
Yeah. Is that a
TV
segue?
show.
Is that a segue? Is that a segue?
Potentially.
Is that a segue?
If we choose it.
No. Now I'm just obstinate. I'm gonna sit here.
We're just gonna stay for silent.
Let's stare at each other. I'm in a weird place, Every time I get back from vacation, it takes me a couple of days even though it wasn't really vacation, I was in Miami last week. It takes me a couple of days to kind of regroup my mind.
Get back into the groove of daily work life.
Yeah, exactly. It's like my brain gets scattered like three sheets to the wind. I'm very much a creature of habit, I think. I can't take just a little bit outside of my routine. I just get destroyed.
No, but that's good though. That means that you got out of that routine. You got to relax, not think about the daily problems, and then
No,
come back.
I actually was doing work over there too.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
oh, in that case, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, it is good to shake up yourself, but it's like, I was on a very positive trajectory. Now I'm like just unsure. You ever have that kind of thing?
That's the state of my life, man. That's my natural default. I'm confident 1 minute and confident and used to like the rotation of what goes on in life, and then life throws you a curveball, and I don't know,
Yeah.
you panic and cry and go into the fetal position in the closet.
Yeah. I just feel like my mind is like a Fabergé egg or something. It's just very sensitive, It's a very sensitive, rare treat, and if it's I'm not even sure I know what a Fabergé egg is.
As far as I know, it's a very nice egg, and it's not a real egg. It's just like a decorative jewel, or an assortment of jewels. Kind of like the thing, like if you would see a religious figure, if you saw like an oil painting of a religious figure, they would be holding this orb with a crucifix attached to it. I don't know what that's called. There's a reference to it. It looks like a holy grenade. But in my mind, it's a Fabergé egg. Just a thing it's a bedazzled ball with a cross on it.
Maybe wasn't the right word then. I don't know, because that actually sounds pretty solid and awesome.
A holy grenade?
Yeah, a holy grenade.
It's like a water bottle of holy water. Like, you pass by a group of heathens, you just chuck it at them, wash the impurities off.
Yeah, and then they're either, well, you just send them to heaven. You let God sort them out.
We would make a very interesting religion.
Oh yeah, you'd be the. I think you'd be the deity.
Deity.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Here's some holy grenades.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'd be like, that's the will of of you. Like you're the head thing that they all worship. Like you're on like a pedestal. Like you're on like a golden altar. Like getting like fanned, and they're bringing you stuff. And I'm just like the little like sniveling guy next to him, going like, my master's will.
Must abide by it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a tiring job. I feel like there's a lot of questions that would happen consistently. Like, oh, Lord, what should we do here? What should we do that? Like, I just hand them an 8-ball. I'm like, here you go. I bless the holy 8-ball. Its will is my business.
You actually cut out for a second there. I only heard you say people asked you problems and then you gave them cocaine.
Not that 8-ball.
Yeah.
So people would be bothering me with my problems, and I'd be too tired. I'd be a deity.
Oh, you mean point. Like shake it and question it?
Yeah, like the thing you would get like a Toys R Us or whatever Toys R Us is being replaced by right now. The an 8-ball that you shake and it tells you yes, no, ask again later. I'd give them that, the holy 8-ball.
That's how that's how you know I was in Miami. I'm really, I really soaked up the local culture.
Yeah,
where I come
Florida
from,
has a different type of 8-ball.
Yeah. Oh, where you come from, it's a novelty toy. Where I come from, it's
It is a toy. It is a toy, but a different toy.
Yeah, it's about 120. It's about an hour's worth of fun.
Yeah, and then 2 hours worth of withdrawal.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Not my cup of tea.
Not my cup of tea. Cocaine, not my cup of tea.
Maybe when it was in Coca-Cola initially, which I wonder. Side left turn real quick.
Sure.
I wonder what like the research and development team was like when Coca-Cola first came out. They actually used the coca plant in the Coca-Cola, which is what got people addicted to it originally. The caffeine and the sugar weren't enough. You needed some cocaine in there. I'm curious what like the R&D team were like. You know what? This is the perfect amount of coca. Nope, there's too much in this one. Like we gave some to George yesterday, and he's still like fidgeting. A little less coca, more caffeine.
He formed his own company. He formed Pepsi. Too much. We gave him too much.
Too much, man.
He's forming rival companies to us. Like that's not what we want. We want less movement.
Less cocaine, more caffeine and sugar. Americans love that.
Yeah. No one ever talks about, talk about the people that stayed with Coke and took out the cocaine, but there was some young entrepreneur, I'm sure, who just stayed with the cocaine aspect. You guys keep the sugar and the water. I'm just gonna sell the cocaine.
Well, do you know what the reason, what the actual difference between Coca-Cola and Pepsi is?
uh,
Coca-Cola was created before refrigeration. Pepsi was created after. So Pepsi tastes the same cold and warm, where Coke has a different taste if it's warm when other than when it's warm. Did I mix that up? Yeah.
uh,
Coca-Cola has two states of taste where Pepsi is more consistent because it was made after with the knowledge of refrigeration.
Pepsi was made before the knowledge of refrigeration. Wouldn't it be the other way then? Like,
It was the
would
other
it?
way around.
Yeah.
Let's blame that on dyslexia. So Coca-Cola was made first, before refrigeration. Pepsi was made after.
Yeah, you're
And
probably confused now.
probably. That's my consistent state of always confused.
Yeah.
And I don't know how factual that is because again, I get all my information from the internet, and the internet never lies.
Not to me, it
And of course,
hasn't.
I never fact. Not to me. I never fact check that stuff.
Yeah. That's a that's an interesting one. I never heard that before.
Neither did I.
Although I feel like they both kind of taste different. Or I guess that's so long ago,
It's
right?
subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be by this point they both they both taste the same now. I can't. I've never really met somebody who could do that blind taste test and really tell
Neither.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like tell me which is which.
For the most part, when I have soda, I have a cold, and I can't really tell the difference between like two different brands that are very similar. Like Sour Mist and Sprite, basically the same thing in my opinion. Coca-Cola and Pepsi, same thing.
Yeah, most of
Uh,
these things are the same, and most of them are owned by the same people. There's like, right, when you actually like trace it back, there's like two company or like three companies that make like everything.
it's like Nestle and
Yeah. No, I think it actually is Pepsi and Coke, right? I mean, I think that they actually are separate.
they might be the parent companies.
Yeah, I think Pepsi owns Nestle. I'm pretty sure, and Gatorade.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
I actually had a document on my phone actually listing all the companies those things owned, and it was quite amazing. So
Yeah.
they got a whole big portfolio of brands. So
Yeah. Yeah. I was
pull it
looking
up
at
and
that
it's
recently.
it's interesting.
Yeah, they own a bunch. They own like Frito Lay's. All right, well.
Anyway, about snacks. You're getting me hungry now, Steven.
Yeah. So
Even though I kind of brought this in with soda.
yeah, don't blame me. I'm just sitting here in a mild depression.
Sounds like you need more Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I'll do a few lines. I'll snort a little bit
We'll
of
dry
that.
out a little bit of Coca-Cola. So you mentioned that you were watching Disenchanted to me earlier.
Oh yeah.
How are you enjoying it so far?
I think I did half of them. There's only 10, right? It's a short season.
It's only 10 episodes so far.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like it took me a second to get into like the rhythm of the jokes. I think the first episode of anything is kind of like it takes them like a second to kind of set up the characters and everything, and getting you into like the setup of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like it's it kind of is what it is, and it's funny. Like they have a lot of like funny jokes. I like the when the elves who were always singing happy were hanging him, and they were like
With licorice?
Yeah, they're hanging him with licorice, and like they're singing like a happy hanging him song.
There's
like,
a lot of great ones.
yeah, they all have like the stupidest, like most obvious names, like Shaco, and he goes like, "Whoa?"
What? Which, if you watch it with the subtitles, like he comes up a few times that you never see him in frame, and underneath it's like Shaco. It's like what?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty funny. Like, I don't know, they're just good writers. Like, it's like the jokes are very clever. Like a lot of the time.
Yeah, Matt Groening is really great. It's certainly a lot slower than Simpsons and Futurama. And the thing that I think people are a lot of people are saying it's bad because I think they're unfairly judging it compared to The Simpsons and Futurama because it is by the same creator, but at the same time, those two shows have hundreds of episodes. This one only has 10. They just started.
Yeah, I would actually, I can actually see that criticism that it's like slower, Like it doesn't feel. Yeah, it does. There does feel to be like a certain beat of joke that's just like it. Like I guess Futurama and The Simpsons, like they're so like crafted in what they do,
Mhm.
like that. You know, with their characters and like
Yeah.
understanding their humor, that like the jokes are just like boom, 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 boom. Like
It's
they're
easier to
always,
get.
yeah,
Everything's established too, so you don't have, like this one. It seems like this one took like a much different approach from like those two shows, which were more sitcom oriented. This
yeah.
one's more serialized, so it's one episode goes into the other one, and it kind of keeps building. Where like Futurama and Simpsons, at the end of an episode, it kind
It
of
resets.
resets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to do a lot of time in like exposition and like.
I actually thought that
All
they
that.
were gonna do that. Like it was gonna be like I mean, it's a little more. It's not. It's actually not so serialized. I thought like it seemed at the beginning like they were setting up for that, but then like
Mhm.
like they're running away and all this, but like the guy comes and gets them like right back, like the
Yeah, and it resets in a way as well.
yeah. So like I mean, they usually end up back in like the castle with like the dad, who
Which is funny because, like, not to cut you off, I
no
didn't
no
mean
it's all
to,
right.
but the I didn't like the show when it was like in that format where it was resetting. Like they were still in the castle, and she was complaining about being a princess, and she wanted to just be free, even though she just ended up getting drunk and getting into mayhem. I liked like the shows. Oh, given you're only halfway through the season, I think it gets into it later in the season where
Yeah,
they
I
actually
think
go on
so.
an adventure. They have to go out and achieve or get something, and they're actually facing new people, and they're out of their comfort zone. I think that's where the show thrives, and it doesn't really get into it until much later in the season, which you haven't gotten to. So might as well be lying.
No, I could see why that's more satisfying because it feels like they set up this theme, like I mean, the show's called Disenchantment, like
Mhm.
and that's it's not just because it's like that like enchantment, but like a screwed up version of it, like which is one way of reading that, but it's also clearly because the characters are all kind of disillusioned with where they are in life, like the girl, she hates being a princess, and the elf hates being like a happy elf, and they're both kind of searching for something else, like they become disenchanted with their yes, that was intentional. They become
Yeah.
disenchanted with where they are currently in life, but like it didn't seem after like the first episode like they did anything with that. It just kind of like, I mean, like it's still part of their character, but they're mostly just kind of sitting around doing these cute little adventures. Like
Yeah.
she tries to kill her husband. Cute little adventure. You always wanted a husband that was that screwed 28 horses, right?
It's funny picking up like the references left and right, like the guy getting stabbed, stabbing his head in the Game of Thrones chair,
Yeah.
and then the brothers there just on the side just to replace him right away, uh, or like the trap door that they kept shooting the jester out of. Uh, I'm not sure if you've seen that yet. Whenever the king gets frustrated with the jester, he pulls like a lever, and then the door opens up in the king's room, and it's similar to that door uh, in the Game of Thrones. I'm trying to the Tully house, the one that
No, not
castles on a cliff.
no, it's not the Tully house. How dare you? How dare you not know this? It's the Aryan. John like the moon door you're talking about, right?
The moon door, yeah, the
Yeah,
one with
it's Aaron.
the 13-year-old that's still sucking on his mother's titty.
His name is Little Robin or something. Rob Aaron or it's Aaron. I think that's how you pronounce it. I
The
can't
kid's just
actually.
weird.
Yeah, it's the House of Aaron. See,
The house, but they're related to the Tullys.
no, totally different.
I
they're
thought.
they're
No,
way
no,
far away.
wasn't Catelyn's sister the one that was ruling over it until she also, spoiler alert,
Oh,
went
you
through
know
the
what?
hole?
You know what? You're right. I thought you said Tully's, and I thought I
Ah,
thought
there,
Tarly.
yeah.
Now the tables have turned.
Ha!
I was thinking Tarly. I was thinking Tarly.
You
who are
were
way down
sorely
south.
mistaken, good
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. The Tully, although it's not the Tully's house, she was the her
She was
sister
Catelyn's
married
sister,
the
or cousin
king,
or something.
who was the
Yeah.
hand of the who's the hand of the king that got murdered. That started the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Unraveling Game of Thrones for you. Yes. So So they make a lot of references to Game of Thrones and stuff. Like obviously, I mean that's got to be kind of what inspired them to do like medieval, like all of a
I'd
sudden.
assume a lot of people have done Game of Thrones parodies, but it doesn't rely fully on it. But it's great when you catch it. That's one thing I liked about the show a lot was that there's subtle jokes that might pass through people's heads, and like another thing that was great about Futurama, and then this show shares, is you could look at the background, like the backdrop of the setting of like where they're at,
Yeah.
and there's like little subtle details that are like they'll pass by an orphanarium and it's like a pet shop where it's like all things must go before midnight, or like half off, get one going half off.
Or like a funny example of that was like when they go into the apothecary or whatever it was to get some poison, and he's like, this poison is so poisonous that it's like you can't even touch the bottle, and he's like showing to them. He's like, I'll be right back, and he just like runs out and passes out. Yeah, but then like as they're leaving, there's like a little help wanted sign in the in the window. It's just a funny little detail of like
just as they're walking out of the door.
Yeah,
There's another one that they're going into a woods, and it's like whatever the woods are named, and underneath is beware of the racist elk. And like that's weird. The characters don't acknowledge it. It's just in the background as they walk into the woods. And then at the end of the scene, the three main characters, Bean, Lucy, and Alpha, are sitting next to a campfire, and they go to sleep. And then an elk comes in, and it's just like an elf with a human girl. That ain't right, and he spits at them.
Yeah. I remember that. I didn't see the sign at the beginning. I saw that. I was like, okay.
That was like a very subtle joke that no one would get, because it's very easy to miss the setup.
Yeah, I missed the setup. I actually did, because I remember that joke. I was just like, okay.
That was weird. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot better when you see the context.
Yeah. That is one of the great things about that show, that there's a lot of like funny little details in the background, like the names of the stores and what's going on with the people. Yeah. I also love the King. I think or at least it sounds like the same dude that voiced Bender, right?
It is.
Yeah. I mean, like the voice is like pretty much the same. It's just a little
bit more raspier.
Yeah. He's walking in, checking. Like, he always does that thing where he's like looking at the cake, examining the top part first, checking the trimming good. He's like, why are you talking like that? It's like, I had a stroke on the way in.
Oh, that's his character. It sounds very similar to the character in Futurama that was, can't tell if he was a janitor, not the janitor, like a handyman or a landlord.
Scruffy?
No, not Scruffy, the janitor. I'll find a picture of it and send it to you. But
how could I get?
There's another character. Yeah, there's another character specifically from Futurama that I think he's just redoing the voice from that, as well as the one character that is the right-hand man
with the three eyes.
With the three eyes, he sounds like one of the three brothers from the grandmas.
Yeah, from Mom's.
From Mom's company. Yeah. It sounds like the what's it called? The one that actually takes charge, but is like all of them. They're all idiots.
Yeah. Although I don't think it's as densely packed as Futurama was. Like the frames
Definitely
of Futurama had like a lot of like those little fun details. I mean, and it seems like theoretically they could, because like it's magic and all that like crap, but they don't. It's not really there as much, or maybe I'm just not paying enough attention. It feels a little more sparse.
It's just 10 episodes, and it's not like it doesn't seem like they've developed it that much in regards to like the world building on like how many characters there are. Because if you look at Simpsons and Futurama, there are side characters like through the roof. You could see it in the opening title sequence where the camera goes on both shows. It goes through both of the world, whether it's New York City or Springfield, and you're seeing all the side characters that they have, like Mo and the bus driver and the school teachers and the principal.
Yeah.
And Futurama, it's the same thing. You're going through the city and you're seeing all the characters.
Yeah, exactly. And then like once you start building up those, that's when like they start like being able to like just get a lot of jokes in there.
Yeah.
It's actually funny. I was thinking, or not this the other day, but it's funny when you watch sitcoms, how like it's like if you were watching it from season 10, I don't know if you would find them funny. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like a lot of it gets built up on like just knowing who the people are. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like it really does become a weird relationship with people where it's like, oh, that's so Ross. You know what I'm saying? Like the joke is just like, oh, you know how he is,
Yeah.
like kind of thing. And it's like,
Oh, that's such a Samantha move.
yeah,
I don't even know what that
exactly.
phrase is, but I've
Yeah.
heard it.
Okay. Like that's just a person who did something. Like I don't know if you would find it funny if you don't actually to me at least I don't find it funny cuz like I've watched like The Big Bang like in the middle
Hmm.
and it's like I'm sure if you're watching the whole time and like you really know what Sheldon does, you might find that stuff hilarious, but like I'm watching it and I'm just like what like stop it.
I don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like
Well, I guess it's the curse of being in a sitcom a lot of times, or at least an ongoing sitcom that goes into like 10 plus seasons where like the characters are established, the setting doesn't really change, nothing really develops. It's just all formulaic where like they're bringing on new writers and they got to repeat the same stuff that's been made already. So it's
yeah,
just like,
it's just very similar.
you,
It's just very similar jokes. I mean, it's not,
yeah, it's the
you
same
know,
thing with like Future. I mean, Family Guy.
yeah. Well,
It's
I
the
stopped
same thing
watching
over and over
Family Guy.
again. So did I, and that's again part of the curse. Becomes repetitive, and audiences don't really enjoy that, and doesn't
Mm,
allow much freedom for creativity and
Family
new
Guy,
stuff.
though, it wasn't a problem of it being repetitive. It was a problem of Family Guy just being like needlessly like mean and like not in a
Hmm.
funny way, or like it would just make a joke to make fun of somebody that was just like such like a weird cheap shot at somebody that because like I remember this was the joke where I was kind of like I don't want to watch this anymore, like because it was just too like it was too random. Like in a way, it was just like let me use what's her name Reese Witherspoon's chin to like cut open a door or something like that. Like that was, and then like he brings her out and like he uses her chin to cut a door. I mean, it's kind of like a funny image, like so it's kind of funny, but it's like I just didn't get it. It was like her chin's not that pointy. It's like what? Why? It's like you're just making up things to make fun of people for. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I just didn't like that. Like, and they're
I'll agree with that, dude. But honestly, even with other than that cutaway, a lot of the cutaways were just done for the sake of doing a cutaway.
yeah,
Most of
yeah,
them weren't even that funny. Like it's
yeah.
weird.
Some of
I
them
honestly
are really not like funny at all. It's just like
like
that's
every.
it's like literally just like that Family Guy thing where it's just like that's like seeing like a donkey order at a restaurant or something. And he's just like hee haw. It's like oh then cut away or something like that. It's like okay. It's like
That's
it's
cool. We didn't need to see that, but sure.
yeah. It's like you're right. That's exactly what that would be like. you know.
I honestly haven't been enjoying Seth MacFarlane's stuff as much the last few years. Although I'll take that back. American Dad, I thought, has been fantastic. I think the whole character of Roger uh, has always been entertaining,
Yeah.
which is honestly another similar character that Groening has across Futurama and Disenchanted. One of my favorite. First off, what's your favorite character in the show?
It's a good question. Probably the king.
The King. I was gonna
Yeah.
say I'm stuck between the King and Lucy.
Yeah, I don't like as far as a main character goes, Lucy's just not that funny to me like yet. She's a little too like like the fun of the other two main characters that he had or that they were both like really stupid so you can kind of make fun of them. There's not a
Like
lot.
Alpha.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
Alpha was just too stupid. I figured like if you're gonna go with like the innocent, whimsical idiot, go with more of a Butters type of a character, someone that's just like childish and
Yeah. He's got a little bit of that element but not quite.
yeah.
Like
The whole
where
setup of
Butters
like
it's
he's too
hilarious.
happy and he wants to be mad doesn't
Yeah.
make sense in a way. I guess maybe in the beginning, but then when he meets the main character, he's like, "No, you need to be happy and move forward." Like, dude, you're contradicting your own ideals.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Dude.
that actually is a good point about him. I don't feel like they use that like much. Where like he's like doing miserable things, but like loving it.
Hmm.
Like you're right that they definitely don't go with that as much as it seems like they could. But I just feel like there's nothing to laugh at with with the main girl, or not Lucy. Lucy is the is
Lucy's
a
the demon.
Yeah, no, Lucy is funny.
Dean is the main
Yeah,
character.
no, okay, you're right. I thought Lucy was Bean. Yeah, there's not much to
Yeah.
laugh at with Bean. You know,
No, and
it's
I'll
like,
agree with that.
yeah, she's
And I don't
like,
think she needs a demon telling her what to do wrong because I think she's doing enough wrong on her own. She wants to
yeah,
get drunk and mess up things by default. I don't think you need a demon advocating to you to keep doing that.
yeah. That is
That
also
being
like
said,
a strange thing where it's like she was like the first scene you see her, she's drinking at a bar, she's drinking in the gambling den, getting into a fight.
yeah.
You know, so
And then
and
she's
then like
drinking right before her wedding and she wants to sabotage the wedding and the demon pops up. He's like, "Hey, I'm here to sabotage your wedding." She's like, "I'm already on it."
yeah, exactly. So
But I will say, I like the character type of Lucy.
yes, yeah,
So similar to, he reminded me a lot of Bender. So he's detached. It's a character that's detached from humanity and is just very much always incentivizing others to do the wrong thing for their own entertainment. And I think that only works because it's either a robot or a demon. Because it makes sense that they don't have empathy because they take pleasure in people's misery
yeah,
because that's the character type. And I don't know. I just like that character type a lot.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just funny. It's like I was
And like American Dad also has Roger, but that's also about Matt Groening.
right. You're right. There's something about people like that are so like misanthropic that like is like you like to watch. Like they always become like the fan favorites, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, they
like
push the story in a direction. Like they don't make it safe. They don't make it like, but they make it entertaining. Like they push the characters that they're around to go do things that they don't want to do or weren't planning to do. I guess Cartman fits into that character type as well.
yeah, Rick. I'd say from Rick and Morty is kind of like that as well. Like
Exactly.
yeah. And it's like those are people's like in all those shows, like they all have that in common that those are people's favorite characters, right? I mean,
hmm
you would say that for all those shows.
Absolutely.
It's funny. It's like people really do get like a kick out of just like watching people be like evil on screen, you know?
I just appreciate chaos because I like seeing how characters react to it, and I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
it's a
think
real,
it's
if it's a well
also
done show. Hmm?
there's got to be an element of like fantasy fulfillment, like for a lot of people, where it's you get to see people acting in a way that's like that your like cowardice won't let you. You
hmm
know, saying whatever they think, and like they're always, you know, like they're usually kind of like they're kind of powerful because they give such a little crap about people. Like they're always like you know they're manipulative and they're smart, and there's something about that people seem to enjoy. Like I think that was the other when Breaking Bad was kind of like at its final like crescendo there. People were, you know, like I remember that being one of the big conversations where it was like, how come we can't make people hate Walter White? You know, it's like, why do people just love him so much? You know, it's like he's supposed to be this asshole, and you know, people are mean to the woman who's playing his wife. Like people hated like the wife who was like the moral one, and they loved like the drug dealer husband. And like I remember that being like a comment at the time, or like people like Tony Soprano, like
Yeah, it was a big
David
topic.
Chase was like totally disgusted with his fans, like the way they loved Tony Soprano. It's like no, you're supposed to hate these people, but like there's just I think there's an element of that that's like for a good like swath of people, like we're you know
I
like
think
just to get like you can't get those kicks out of yourself, those little you can't get out your inner Lucy's, you can't get out your inner demons, and so it's like they want to see people that are doing that, like even if it's to like an extreme.
yeah, that's interesting. I feel like those two examples, especially Breaking Bad and Sopranos, uh, they're shows that make you sympathize with the main character, even though you know eventually they're evil characters and they do bad things, but they cemented them in this level of relatability as like both being kind of fathers just looking really ultimately for their family, and like they're just trying the best they can to like look after their family even though their business and how they make the finances are absolutely horrid and like take other people's lives. At the core of it are they're just family men, and that's very relatable, and like watching the suffering or the struggle to like just try to have a happy family and trying to get along with your kids uh, really gets people to like relate to these characters and get very invested in them. And then what's it called? Once they go off back in and go crazy, I guess it makes it kind of makes you conflicted, but you also appreciate the ride because you're living vicariously through those characters.
I don't know. I disagree just a little bit with the idea that they were like trying to be grounded in like ultimately like they're good people. Like I don't think that was like the intent of the characters. And it didn't seem like they wrote them like that to pull like cheap punches. It wasn't like
Oh no.
it wasn't like Dexter, where like Dexter was
Mhm.
kind of cheap like that. And that's actually why I didn't like Dexter. Like towards the end, where it's like he was this like, you know, he was a serial killer, but like he's really a good person. Like he only kills bad people, and he loves like the kids, and all this other like kind of junky
Yeah.
nonsense where they're trying to like justify you liking them. It was like they actually went the opposite way, where they didn't pull any of their punches. I mean, Walter White, like especially, wasn't a what would you call it? Like like I remember that show a little more clearly, so I'll talk about him. But like
Of course.
like it wasn't about for him like providing for his family. It was like a totally like ego thing. Like he had the
Well,
opportunity lots of times
mhm.
to take the money, but he was too proud to do so. Like he wanted to prove himself, like uh he wanted to prove himself, and then he ended up like, if
Loving
to
it.
say that like he cared about his family, it's kind
Yeah.
of weird, like with
Well, with
how
the
he.
setup, that's what it was. He was dying, and he was trying to get money enough for his family to get by after he died.
Yeah, but then like they
And then
slowly
he just
peel
ended
back.
up
But
loving
then
it.
like as like they peel back the onion of his psychology, you realize like that's a lot of like bullshit that he was like. That's the story he spun, but that wasn't why he became
Well,
Heisenberg. Like
it evolved into that. I'm just saying that's just how it started.
yeah,
So initially, as a viewer, you're just watching not a meth dealer. You're watching a teacher that just got very sick and is about to die soon, and he's got a crippled kid and a son and a wife that doesn't really have a good relationship with, and they're in like serious financial issues, and especially after he dies. So like and from what I recall from the pilot, that's what the whole point was. It was just him trying to get enough money fast enough that he could provide for his family before he dies,
no,
and then at the end of it, of going into the almost getting caught and getting away with it and getting so much money and then being really good at it, he got like almost addicted to it and loved it.
yeah. I mean,
And that's the path it pretty much stayed on.
right. And there was like parts of that though that were in him all along, which is like the interesting part about it. And
Hmm.
but like definitely towards the end, I don't think they
Oh,
were.
definitely not toward the end. No,
Yeah,
definitely not.
but at the end, people still loved him though. Like that was the thing. Like even when he wasn't like caring, like Mister Family Man, nice guy, and he was just like a pretty
I think let's just follow.
a pretty badass dude. Like it still stayed the same. And Tony Soprano was never really like that. I mean,
Well, my favorite scene of The Sopranos is like episode 2 or 3 with the ducks, where the ducks he finds a family of ducks in the pool. Given I haven't seen it in years, but that's the one thing I always recall is the metaphor of him finding ducks in the pool, and he's very obsessive about taking care of the ducks, and the ducks are a metaphor for his family, uh, which I could be wrong. I haven't seen that in years, way longer than I haven't seen Breaking Bad.
no, the best the best scene in The Sopranos to me. This is my favorite. This is what made The Sopranos brilliant to me, was that it went from like can go from the way it could like switch emotions from comedy to like dark like so
Hmm.
quickly. Like there was this scene where Christopher Moltisanti is getting I forget why everybody hates him, but like he has this writer friend that he ends up extorting, like, and he like is just making this guy's life miserable for like years, like for the whole season. Like it was a long time, making this poor writer miserable. And he comes to his house like at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like wakes him up and is like having like an emotional breakdown trying to like appeal to this guy. And like it's just like ridiculous, like because like you've been extorting and torturing me, and now you're coming to my house crying, like wanting me to be the shoulder to lean on, and like the guy's just like, can you just get the fuck out? And like and then he kills him, like he shoots him because like he doesn't like taken like his he doesn't comfort him in his time of need. you know, and it was just something about that, like, where, like, it goes from, like, being, like, this, like, ridiculous, like, farce of a thing to, like, a violent, like, end. Like, it was just that mixture of comedy and then death that always stuck out to my mind as, like, the thing that made Sopranos so good. Because that show was actually, like, really funny at times, and then it get, like, really dark. Like, and I don't know.
There's a good balance of it.
Yeah, and that part was just, like, it encapsulated it really well right there. It was, like, the absurdity of life, and then, like, the end of it. Like, you know, it was just so absurd seeing him, like, going to this guy for, like, a shoulder to cry on at 3 o'clock in the morning. And the poor guy, like, after just years of being, like, crapped on by this dude, getting extorted and beat up by him, he's just like, please leave me alone. You know? Like, I'm sleeping. And, like, he just shoots him. Such a great moment.
How it is. Such a great show.
Yeah. Oh, that show's a classic. I actually got to show it to the other member of this here radio show, because I don't think he's seen it. I think
he'll like it. A lot of people love that show.
You know, I realize this. I'm a very New York kind of person.
I just it's very engraved in New York and New Jersey. So of course we're gonna love it, but maybe people outside of this area might not feel the same way.
Maybe not. Like, I didn't realize that until, like, I'm looking back at, like, I just love, like, mob movies. You know, like, movies about New York gangsters. Mm-hmm. Like, I just like watching Italian people go crazy in New York. I'm a New Yorker.
A New York. Well, speaking of mobster films, have you heard of the new Joker film that's coming out starring Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah. I've heard that it's a thing.
It's a thing. They announced Alec Baldwin as Thomas Wayne. Oscar Isaac is rumored as Batman, but it seems like it's not going to be about Batman. What it seems to be is a Batman-themed version of Wall Street, like the 80s Wall Street with Gordon Gekko. So Alec Baldwin's going to play a Gordon Gekko / Trump type of character.
Oh, great.
Robert De Niro's in it as a mobster, and Mark Maron's in it. It's very interesting. It seems like what was that bad?
Mark Maron's got to be like a cameo, right?
No, he's a leading role. I have no idea who he's going to be, what he's going to do.
I don't think if you have Robert De Niro, Alec Baldwin, Joaquin Phoenix,
one of these does not belong with the other,
and Oscar Isaac, I don't think you make Mark Maron the lead. I mean, no offense to Mark Maron. You know, I listened to a show for a long time before I got just too much of him.
I'm just curious where they're going. It seems very similar, like a modern day version of was it Batman Forever, the one with Jim Carrey and whoever with as Two-Face?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
You haven't seen the
No, of course.
Joe Schumacher? Is that the director that made it?
Joel Shoemaker.
Shoemaker.
I think it was Joel. Schumacher?
Joel Schumacher. Schumacher.
I think it was
Joel.
The
shoe.
Bill Shoemaker. I think it was
Terrence
Cobbler.
Like a modern day version of that. I like Joaquin Phoenix. I'm interested to see what it's like.
I can't picture Joaquin. Well, maybe I could picture him doing something like that. I guess he's just been doing like Paul Thomas Anderson films so long. I always like, I can't see him doing anything that light and fluffy. All of his movies are pretty intense.
Well, he's planning to play the Joker, which if it's going to be a more mobster-oriented film, it makes, because one of the original origin stories for the Joker was that he was just a guy down on his luck, just trying to get some money to take care of his wife who was pregnant.
Is this in the laughing game or something? Right? Isn't that the name of the comic?
Killing Joke?
The Killing Joke.
It's not in that one. It's in one called Lovers and Madmen, I think.
I don't think I read that one.
It was one of my favorite. It was like one of the first DC comics I bought, and I was like obsessed with it. But the story was essentially like the Joker was just this random goon that the mobsters tricked him to, like, oh, hey, we'll give you a lot of money if you help us go on this little heist. And the whole heist was they were planning on framing him, so they gave him a red bucket to put on his head, and they threw him in like a chemical plant. And
this sounds so familiar. Maybe I did read this.
They kind of took it a little bit into the original Batman,
Yeah.
How he, I guess the animated series is kind of touchable. Maybe I might be over exaggerating it, but essentially he was a goon that was, or just a random guy that was hired as a goon for the mob to help them do a heist at this chemical plant, and then Batman comes and he scares him accidentally and he falls into the chemical plant. And one of the things that I always remembered about the comic is that when he comes out of the chemicals at the outside of the factory, he comes out pale skin and everything. And he looks up at the sky and he sees this moon, and he's like, "There's a rabbit on the moon." And then you cut to his POV and you see a rabbit on the moon smiling, kind of like an Alice in Wonderland cat smiling. And he's like, "That's crazy." And then he starts laughing like he's a crazy person. And then it happens later in the book when Bruce Wayne falls into the same chemical, and he comes out of the water and he looks up at the moon. He's like, "There's a rabbit on the moon. That's crazy." So the panel that showing becoming psychotic is a rabbit on the moon. And even years later down the line, I'll be like, "Oh, I still see a rabbit on the moon."
So that's like the like typical crazy person. That's like the totem. Like if you're crazy, there's a rabbit on the moon.
If you're crazy, there's a rabbit on the moon.
Or
You don't need a Rorschach test. You just need a picture of the moon.
Yeah, or just, hey, look at the moon. Is there a rabbit on it? Yeah. Well, you're crazy.
Well, you're crazy.
That's a very that's a drug with a strangely specific hallucination. Like
rabbits.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
But I'm curious if I'm not sure if that's the direction they're going with this Joker film. That's supposed to be separate from the rest of the DCU. But
I really doubt
it's what makes sense to me that like if you're gonna put the Joker and you're going with like these '80s Wall Street style and you're focusing more on the mobsters, I don't see how the Joker fits in unless you do that kind of a story where like it's just him being a goon around mobsters, and then I guess I don't know Thomas Wayne's in it.
I guess I don't. I would see them. I mean, it's DC, so I mean most of their stuff is pretty dark. You know, I assume it's going to be that same kind of tone. And judging from the actors you're saying are in it, I really can't see it being like Joel like that kind of like cartoony, like ridiculous kind of Batman. You know,
it seems like a more dark, noirish.
That really, it just doesn't seem like their style. Like, and who's directing it? Do you know?
I don't remember. I know it's being produced or rumored to be produced by Scorsese, which is like interesting choice. Yeah. Not complaining. I love Scorsese. Don't know how he's going to do in a comic film, but this doesn't seem to be a comic film.
I'd watch anything that he makes.
Ditto.
Even though that's like, not the only producer is kind of like, you know, that's kind of hands off. Even if it's executive producer, like Steven Spielberg executive produced the second and third Men in Black, and they were shit.
Well, in all fairness to Spielberg, he was just leasing out his name, as far as I know. Like that's how like the Animaniacs got started, and like a lot of shows during the '90s got like greenlit because he read the script. He's like, "Yeah, sure, put my name on it," and that's why it got produced. That's why we have the Animaniacs.
I like the Animaniacs. Good job, Spielberg. Lease that, make that money, son.
Let's just see if we can pull up the director of this movie. No. Oh, this is making it kind of difficult because there's no official name for this movie. So I don't know if they actually released a director.
I'll get it. I'm going to get it. Watch. You watch me. Give me a...
I'll watch you. Oh, there was another thing I wanted to
I'm going to get it right now. So... Ready? You ready for this? Joaquin Phoenix. Okay. Let's go to the old IMDb. Joker 2019. Todd Phillips.
Oh, it is, yeah. He was given Todd Phillips Joker origin film. Todd Phillips.
The director of Old School, The Hangover. Maybe you're right.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What is going on? I don't know. This is very conflicting.
Now I'm a little confused as to what it'll be.
So is this a comedy?
Yeah. That's not funny. Oh, wait. He directed All the King's Men? That Sean Penn movie that was up for an Oscar? I didn't know that. That's crazy. Oh no, wait, that's him as a producer. He probably just produced that. I don't think he directed that. But yeah.
Yeah, interesting filmography, man. Just hey, we want to make a Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix, Alec Baldwin, Robert De Niro, Mark Maron, and it's gonna be directed by the guy that made Old School in The Hangover.
Yeah, we want there to be a part where King Jong comes out and shows the Joker his penis. We have the director for you.
I'll give the guy the benefit of the doubt until it comes out, or at least until we start seeing some content.
I mean, listen, his movies are better. Like his comedy films are better. They're well made. Like some are like Anchorman is like a kind of a cheap piece of crap. Like, but it's funny. But his movies are actually like they are like well made in terms of the story and just like the strength of like the directing. Like I'd say The Hangover like would go in that same sort of category. I mean, he's not a bad filmmaker at all. Like at least not from my.
It's also being, I think it's being written by the guy that wrote 8 Mile.
That means very little to me.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean anything to me either. But it's interesting how you can. I don't know. I can't even speculate what this movie is gonna is. There's gonna be it's gonna be a Joker film that focuses in the 80s, like it's Wall Street, where Alec Baldwin's a Trump, Gordon Gekko type, with Robert De Niro. That's going to have potentially rapping, because the writer from 8 Mile, and a lot of comedy, like an Old School. I like to envision it as if it's like, you know, these actors are playing the same roles they've played in the past, and the writers are writing the similar thing that they wrote.
Hey,
so in my head, I have a very interesting movie that doesn't look like it's going to work,
and
but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt.
And the Joker is dating his iPhone, and
his iPhone Harley.
Yeah, he's dating his iPhone Harley and masturbates very silently. What a cringy movie that was, by the way. Like
I have not seen it. I've seen bits and pieces, but I heard it was good as far as, you know, a rom-com about a guy falling in love with his AI on his phone goes.
Yeah, it is good. It's a good movie. It's really they did like a really good job, I think, of envisioning what the future might actually look like. Like very subtle the way they did it. You know, instead of being like, you know, we all have flying cars and people are half spider, you know, like something ridiculous. And like the story is, I guess it becomes kind of like prevalent or kind of, you know, it'll be more prescient as time goes on, how people view their AIs. But it's just kind of cringy. Like, it's cringy because, like, there's points where, like, he's, like, you know, he's looking all stupid with his phone, like, going, like, ho, like, laughing with it, like, spinning in circles, like, in public. Like, oh, we're having so much...
I see people do that in Manhattan all the time.
Yeah, oh, we're having so much fun. But it's, like, you know, the way you would do, like, you know, I used to, like, go in the grass with a girl, like, hold her hand and, like, do that little spin thing. But he's doing it with his phone. I mean, people are like that. So, like I said, the movie will seem more and more prescient, I guess, as we get further along into this technology thing. But
hey man, I see vloggers a good amount of the time in Manhattan, or at least people like video chatting, or like they have their phone out like that already, so we're not that far off.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility whatsoever. I mean, people already do like similar stuff. I mean, what's a real doll, you know? It's like it's the same concept, just a little even a little less human, you know, because it's creepy.
Wasn't the phone Scarlett Johansson?
Twist.
Was it?
Yes, no, it was her. Yeah, she has a very.
I think I'd fall in love with my phone if it was Scarlett Johansson.
Well, keep in mind, it's not. You just get the voice, but her voice is pretty like has like a sexy husk to it. You know, she has a deep like she has like a raspiness I sort of like in her voice.
So she's like. It's her interpretation of Siri, I'd imagine.
I mean, it's just her voice. She doesn't go like, "Hi there, good, pull down your pants." You know, she's just like talking like herself.
Good.
You know, I mean, it's essentially a Siri, but it doesn't have any of the roboticness because it's just a person talking.
So it's similar to like how that new Google AI thing is, which I'm not sure if you've seen that.
Mm-mm.
They did this was actually a month or so ago. Google released like an updated version of their AI, So you can go to your phone and be like, oh, schedule a haircut appointment for me next Wednesday. And then the AI in your phone will call the hairdresser and make the appointment for you. And as the hairdresser will be like, how long is your hair? It'll ask specific questions. It'll accommodate it. And it'll sound like a person to the point where they pre-programmed the defects that we have when we talk, like the stutters and the ums and the yeah, like the things that the casual little attention to detail that we do in a conversation that makes obvious that it's not a robot. They programmed it in, so now they're gonna talk. The robot's gonna sound like us, unless you ask it what pi is, and then it's gonna short circuit. But
like why? Why is my question? My answer is why. Why do you want those little imperfections? Oh, hey, your stupid phone keeps calling me and stuttering. Sir, would you could you please schedule my master's haircut? Oh, I'm sorry. Your phone's
gonna give it Tourette's. Sir,
please help me. He's gonna shut me off if you don't do it, sir.
Or if they have an AI that does Tourette's, that has like emotion in that way, I will buy that tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Imagine making that thing call people. He wants to talk to you at 5. Are you available? Oh God, I'm so nervous.
Always nervous for AI. Oh, God. I would die laughing. Read me all my tweets. Oh yeah, you got a text from Carl. Tell me to do this. Make sure you're there by 9. Oh damn it.
He said he wants to meet up later. No, tomorrow. Oh God, I'm so sorry, man. I'm getting a little sweaty.
Oh man. So going back to why they're doing it, I think they're doing it because, like, you know how you get like random phone numbers, or like whenever you call for customer service, it's a robot and it's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. Now it's an unresponsive human.
They're gonna basically it's to update that stuff. But my God, man, if they add the stuttering, like nervous AI, I would love call customer support. I gotta call customer support after this podcast. I would pay them money if they could add a stuttering UI. Like, oh, sorry, we can't help you, but sure, just give us another moment, please.
We're shutting off your cable. Oh no, it wasn't my fault, man. It wasn't me. They made me do it. I'm sorry. Bye.
That's great. Oh God.
That is good.
That would make customer service so much more entertaining.
It would definitely give it a flavor.
Oh yeah. I'm sure after an hour or two of that you'd get very impatient, but I'm a simple-minded fellow.
But no,
I
see,
would love that for hours.
What I would do, I would like to have the power to make a call people. Because how annoying would that be if that guy kept calling you? Stop making your stupid robot phone call me. He's an idiot. No. They're going to fire me. Please give me another shot.
Can you update your AI with something else? Like, no, man, that's entertaining. Can you make it stop calling me? Like, you could actually... It'll become like a servant. You could tell it what to do. Call your friends, annoy them at 1 o'clock in the morning every time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want it for, just to annoy people.
I think we need to hit up Samsung or Apple and pitch this idea.
Yeah, I'm available to do the voice if you need me, you know. I could do that voice all day. I used to stutter, so it just comes naturally to me. Look, I think we should probably get out of here. I don't think there's going to be anything to top that. That was a good hearty laugh to end
that's
on.
A good end. And as a cliffhanger... Goodbye. Well, thank you for everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, wait. I can't find the stop button. Oh, no. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to support us, you can, or contact us, you can email us at thedeadendradio@gmail.com, or you can contact us at Twitter at deadendradio. Nope, got it wrong again. It's at Dead Radio USA. Thank you.